Howdy all and welcome to Rauta's opinion video, or this time more about speculating what went wrong and what could be better. I mean, after all, it's been almost a year since the last gigs I saw because of coronavirus. It was March 2020, in fact, when those took place, and since that nothing really hasn't been happening. That is, most festivals, most gigs have been cancelled, at least here in Finland. Obviously some smaller events have taken place, and good for those bands and organizers who were able to pull it off, who managed to do all that. Now this video is by no means just about corona, but partially because you know, after all, it's quite a lot dominating and kind of setting the rules here in terms of gigs and what bands can do and what they can't do. Now the big question today is, with this particular video anyway, is that how come music industry, as the big whole massive part of entertainment and art, reacted so late to all of this? Now, it must not be because of technology or lack of, because after all, we know TV services, movie services, gaming services, they all have technology, and they have had it for years. You know, stream gigs, stream shows, stream movies and all that stuff. And more importantly, even games have been able to do it, and that's way more difficult technology-wise than, you know, presenting some kind of music or, I don't know, stand-up comedy, theater, all that stuff. Now, obviously, we all know this is no fair comparison at all. The thing here is, besides television, you know, the whole entertainment with television and sports and whatever, you know, everybody I guess knows it pretty much by this time. Music industry is the smallest one of these. You know, movie industry is bigger than that. Gaming industry, even bigger than the movie industry. So what you have as the top of the whole mountain is obviously TV shows, including sports. And of course you don't really have that money to be invested. But then again, we're not talking here about Super Bowl or Olympics being streamed to the hundreds of millions of audience. We're not talking about bandwidth, you know. I hope that you're familiar with the term. We're not requiring thousands of servers taking care of what would be streamed to, once again, millions and millions of people, you know, globally, all around the world and all that stuff. We're not talking about even the Netflix or HBO or Amazon Prime level of streaming here. We are talking about streaming gigs. And we're talking about what bands could be doing now that they are not embarking, you know, on these massive tours worldwide. Even less so, we're talking about bands that are doing individual gigs, like here and there. I mean, of course, everybody gets this. You need lighting, you know, that is lights. You need, you know, decent technology for sound, and you need all kinds of stages and whatever. But if we take a little bit thought out of the box, we really can understand it's not so black and white that either it's a no-show, no-go mentality, or then you have to have this kind of a Wacken Festival level of, you know, show put out. It's not like every small band needs to be the king of the mountain, you know, having their, "How are you doing, London?" We're not gonna do that. Nobody needs that. But a few questions remains. First of all, we've had this technology for streaming. We have had the capacity, bandwidth or otherwise. You know, you can pretty much do it on your phone. You can take your iPad or other tablet. You can do it on your laptop. You can use it in your computer, or even, heck, smart TVs, right? Like one behind me. You have all these companies that have the technology right there. You could rent it, you could lease it, you could just do your own home TV show. I mean, I'm having a YouTube streams every now and then, and do I make money with this? Do I do this as a profession? Hell no. I'm just one guy having a basic webcam here and a mic and all that stuff. So if we go back to this DIY or do-it-yourself mentality, back to the ground level, to the roots, everybody could be streaming these days with very, very little of investment or not at all. Because after all, there are lots of bands who already have the, their own equipment for putting out the sound. Everybody these days have cameras, sort of, one level or another. And they have the understanding how to just, stream these gigs or heck, I don't know, do a recording. The thing here is, music industry has been lagging quite a bit. Now, first of all, even if we remove the whole stream concept out of this equation, after all, not every band or every artist is, content or comfortable with doing that kind of stuff. That's given. I mean, if I had my own band, I wouldn't be so sure if I want to do these streamable gigs. Because after all, it lacks this interaction. And you probably have to make some compromise between, the music being played and technology and all that stuff. And you need to have some sort of revenue in order to get things going. After all, you probably have to pay somebody to, take care of the sound quality. The mixing guy, basically. You need somebody probably take care of the lights. That is, if you don't want to do these kind of a rehearsal room, gig streams or whatever. But what about regular recordings? Labels, even big ones, are still to this day, they're pushing out DVDs. DVDs, that sound much like 1990s, right? Or at least it was 1990s when I saw my first DVDs. So that technology is already decades old. And still, every now and then, when a label, big or small, releases a sort of a live recording, maybe it's anniversary gig, maybe it's just something else. And what they're pushing, they're including a DVD. Now I get it. It's because most people have sort of certain kind of a DVD player. They might not have Blu-ray player or whatever, but still I can't think how old-fashioned thinking it is. I mean, we have Spotify, we have Apple Music, we have Deezer, we have YouTube Music, etc. The list goes on. We have streaming services for music. We have had them for quite a while. And we have these, television show, movie, quality streaming services. And even more so, bands are selling their own stuff via Bandcamp or via label. Labels are doing that all the time. Promotion has moved to digital age. But when it comes to gigs, suddenly, everybody's like, I don't know, man. I don't know how this could be done. I'm like, what the hell? Everybody has access to YouTube or Twitch or whatever your platform would be. Even Facebook has streaming services, has had for quite a while. And lots of these bands have, then again, massive fan bases built either on YouTube or Facebook, probably both. Heck, some bands are very much present on Instagram. And there are other services, obviously, other platforms to be used. And still everybody's like, I don't know, man. Impossible to do gigs because of COVID. We're unemployed. We have nothing to do but just, twiddle our thumbs. And I'm like, maybe that's because your brains are still back in the decade that came out before. Or maybe even farther away. It seems like so many bands and labels are thinking as it was 2005 instead of 2021. Now, like I said in the beginning, introduction, it's been almost 1 year and still I barely see anything massive going on. I mean, people are saying how can these medication companies, how can these big industries push out this vaccination within a year? It's impossible with current technology. And I'm like, yeah, how come these labels have 1 year and they still don't figure out how to push out technology, to do something else with the bands when they're not able to play live? Because it's not like the technology isn't there. It's more about having this kind of a conservative mentality. It's like, if we can't go to Wacken, if we can't go to some big stage in London or New York City, there is nothing really. Bands will go bankrupt, artists will become alcoholics, and everybody will just die. The whole music industry dies. Yes, I get it. I'm very much in live music. I'm basically the person who kind of like either I go to see band live or then I just listen to CDs and LPs. There's no middle way for me. But that is not to say that you couldn't do it, because after all, there are lots of people who would like to see streams, gigs, or then maybe recorded shows. You could basically do it without no hassle. Streams have the ups and downs, obviously, like any other platform or ways to do your stuff. I mean, with gigs, you could basically do something that is kind of impossible with the live gigs. Like, for example, you could have certain kind of interaction which is kind of impossible live. Obviously, you can't shake hands and you can't give your microphone to the audience, toss some, I don't know, t-shirts or drumsticks or whatever. But then again, you could have like, I don't know, questions and answer session. You could basically have a live interview going on. You could have behind the stage material. Or if you don't want to do that live, like a live stream, you could just record something maybe from your rehearsal place. Maybe rent a venue because it's not like these venues are so crowded, and record something there and release it. Either on digital format or then just do a good quality release. Because after all, it doesn't take years and years to get your recorded mixed mastered material to a pressing plant and then get it done. Now, so far we've basically seen only the bigger bands such as Metallica, Iron Maiden and the like to do those Blu-rays, but there are other bands too, and it's not as if it's that expensive. Obviously, the higher margin you want to get from your stuff, obviously the more it will cost. But then again, I am pretty much saying it's a seller's market situation right now, because after all, there are lots of frustrated fans, as there are frustrated musicians who would like to see at least something. Now we can go back to our earlier recordings, like go to our older DVDs and maybe Blu-rays and think it's back like 2005 or 1990s with its bad quality music being recorded live, some venue and all that stuff. It's okay. But what about those bands that don't have live release at all? Not in, CD format, not in digital format, not totally in audiovisual format. How about them? Like said, it's not as if the technology wasn't there. Everybody can do it. Now, I don't fancy these gig streams so much, like I just said. And as such, it's not like I'm complaining about myself or behalf of me and my best friends here. But I'm just figuring out how come everybody just sees the problem and nobody's able to see the solution. Because it's not that complicated. Even if you're a little bit smart and you figure out how to get this sort of a revenue, maybe you could do with a crowdfunding type. Maybe you could sell some digital tickets. Maybe you could sell some merchandise to go with it. There are lots of possibilities and nobody, it seems, is trying to do jack shit about it. Now, I don't know how things will be, but I'm a little bit pessimistic about year 2021. Now, some fests have already cancelled their fests for the year and postponed them to 2022, which might be the smart thing to do. But it's also causing even more frustration among the fans and artists alike, because obviously when you figure out this is going to be the second year a row that you're not going to see your favorite bands live, you're not going to meet your friends at fests and gigs to have a few beers and burgers and make those memories. Like already there are writings on online sites or news sites that this generation, teens and early adults, are missing their generation experiences. That is, how you will kind of remember later on. Like, yeah, I remember when I was 20 and I saw the band XXX for the first time. I remember how Cannibal Corpse were there on the 30th anniversary. I remember it very, very nicely. I was so drunk, but I remember having fun time when I saw, Black Sabbath playing their 60th anniversary. Things like that. So people are like missing big important events. Like, when somebody's gonna turn 18 this year and has the high hopes of going to the fest for the first time, buying his or her first few beers, seeing those artists on the stage for the first time, and it's all getting cancelled. You get these cancelled stickers all over, and artists and fans are just goddamn disappointed. And I'm here myself thinking, how come? And then again, also, I get asked, so Rauta Cherry, why don't you do online interviews? I mean, why don't you have interviews because of COVID? You have the technology. And I'm saying the same excuse. Because I want to do them face to face. I want to see the presence. Now, currently I'm actually taking a look at some software and thinking about the possibilities to do interviews with some bands during the COVID when no fests and gigs are taking place. But I don't know when, if ever, that will happen. But I'm very much looking into that because I don't want to be one of those luddites who are just like, I don't want to do it because it hasn't been done before. Then again, I'm also planning to do the similar things as with this Horna interview that already came out yesterday, and the Sawgeist interview, which is going to be out soon, I hope, this month, I'm guessing. And I'm planning to do, some kind of a road tripping experience, if you will. But that will be obviously limited to Finland, given that it's not very smart thing to actually book a flight and go to other countries just because of interviews. Second of all, it wouldn't be making sense budget-wise. It's not like it's raining money in and out. Yeah, these possibilities to do interviews are obviously quite dubious at the moment. And then there are bands like, why don't you interview Goat Moon? When the band members are living in different parts of the city, even online chat is not so much a possibility because, people are in different places, and in order to do an interview online, video interview just like that, would require that the artists are on top of their technology, not just me handling the sound and video quality. So that is also adding the level of frustration to an artist, because usually all you needed to do was basically sit down and answer the questions. Now you would actually have to handle things with your network connection and all the software, and then still be laid back in order to do this interview. Now, nobody knows how future will be. Will this thing be mostly taken care of in 2021, or will it be 2022 or some other year in the future? We don't know yet, and it's kind of horrible, really, because you really don't know when the next big fest or gig is taking place, or how the future will be. Artists who are making their living with music and fests and merchandise. But I guess my point here is that artists and labels both should be taking the kind of a plan B. Maybe if you can't do these gigs, maybe start doing these streams, or at least record something from your home. At least it would be something special, nothing that has been seen before, be it small band or big band. Everybody according to their own budget and other resources. It could be done. It's just a matter of will to do that. Rant over, open yourself a beer, and in case you missed yesterday's Horna interview, time to do it right now. Pop a beer and enjoy, sit down and relax. Should you have any comments or questions, put them on the box below and I will get back to you. And also, as a final note, I am trying to do these Friday or Saturday night streams once a month from now on, because last week's stream was quite successful, and it seems people were curious to or interested to do more of those. So I hope to provide them once a month from now on, but let's see how it goes. It depends on the audience. If there's no audience, no point making them. But if in case there are people interested, let's do them. Okay, now it's time to say bye-bye, take care, and see you soon with more stuff coming your way.